As I mentioned, it's been a big night this evening on Kaleidoscope. We've had several live musical guests, and now I want to introduce you all to a friend of mine, a really great local artist. His name is Eric Schonborn. Eric, welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Very glad to have you here. You are a podcaster and a visual artist. You do like so many cool things. I want to start off talking about your drawing. When did you really get started, making art? Is it something that you've been doing for as long as you can remember, or was there a point where you said, "Yeah, I want to draw things"?
I think like all kids, you start out, your parents just want to keep you busy, so they just give you paper and crayons. So that's pretty much where I started. And I guess I had a talent for it because a lot of people would always say, well, you should be an artist when you grow up. And I was always like, no, I'm going to be an inventor or an astronaut or something like that. So it's not something I ever really pursued until probably around the age of 10 or 11. And actually, it's because I got into comic books. And, like I fell in love with like the whole comic book worlds and universes. And then I started slowly realizing that people make these.
They're not just these things that come out fully formed.
Right, yeah. There's guys behind that do that stuff. So that's really, I think, for me, when I started getting more into learning how to do it better, or at least just practicing more. And so, that's pretty much it for me. I just started drawing all the time. And I think probably around 11 or so is when I said, I want to be a comic book artist when I grow up. And so that's pretty much when, I've just been doing it nonstop since then.
When you said you fell in love with the world of comics, was there a particular book or a particular hero or artist that just really hit you that said, yeah, I want to do this?
For me, it was the X-Men.
Nice.
But definitely it was I'm going to nerd out on everybody here.
It's all good.
It was the Frank Miller, Chris Claremont Wolverine miniseries, of which the current movie is loosely based on. But I saw Frank Miller's art, and it was so crisp and clean and dynamic and cinematic. And I was 10 or 11 or whatever, and none of those words meant anything to me, but I could still feel it, while reading that book. And I would start just tracing panels and the covers and pinups and stuff from that book. And it's kind of actually sort of how I learned about the language of comics and realizing that it's not just stick figures and, there's actual anatomy and architecture to a drawing,
And drawing the human form it takes a talent and an attention to types of movement and things like that. Do you find that reading comic books has made you more attuned to kind of the way you have to position a person, to make it look as if they're moving or walking or something like that?
Yeah, definitely. Movies also help with that, and I've become definitely a movie nerd, in the past 10 years or so. And it's all just about storytelling. And, honestly, I don't really pursue my interest in wanting to make comic books anymore because it is such a specialized skill that I don't have. And part of it is, that where do you place the figures in relation to other figures and objects and make it look like they're in motion and it's fluid and it, goes from panel to panel, page to page, and it's a lot of hard work to do. And I wasted my 20s and, part of that was just, not focusing enough on myself to learn how to do that properly. I could still do it, but it is a very difficult thing to continue to try to do. And I have the utmost respect for everyone who can do that kind of thing.
Well, when I think about it, it's, there's the artist skill set of that, and then there's the writing skill set, and those are two very highly complex skill sets on their own, but then to put them together, that's quite another thing.
Yeah. And it's weird because as an artist, a comic book artist at least, you have to know how to tell a story. You have to get into a writer's mindset to know what they're thinking in order to interpret it. Whereas someone who's writing a comic could actually just write a comic and hand it to someone and
to make the art,
not know, everything that would need to go into it to make sense.
Understandable. Yeah. Yeah, because you could tell the basic story and then say, hey, artist, interpret this for me.
Right.
And but as an artist, you've got both of those jobs sort of wrapped up into one.
Right. And we're getting super nerdy here, but it is like the Marvel style of comics, which is, the writer basically sort of makes a plot outline, and then the artist has to fully flesh out everything from that point, and then they go back in and add the words later.
Now, what are you doing these days? I know that you do a lot of commission work, and you've been doing. Actually, let's talk about your Sketch a Day project, because I love this, and I really admire you for doing this. As I was saying before we got on the air, this is the kind of thing that I think about doing, and I maybe do it for 2 days, and it was a good effort to do it for 2 days. But you've been going for quite a while.
Well, like I said earlier, I did sort of just waste my 20s, I wasn't really pursuing art that much. I always drew here and there, but I was never doing anything productive, and it was actually kind of depressing. And so 2 years ago, I just felt the need that I needed to be producing something that I can show people, good or bad, just as long as it was out there. And so I was just looking at, browsing the internet, and I saw a lot of other artists out there doing, daily sketches on posting them. And I was like, well, that's something I could do, and I get myself, some ground rules, and they're very loose ground rules, but, I have to spend at least 10 minutes, on a sketch. About once a week I try to do something in color. But, it was just a way for me to actually work, and it gave me a lot of structure, and I did it for about a year. And then I was like, well, I made it to a year. I'm done. I can take all this energy that I've done and focus it on bigger projects and work on, something grander that maybe I don't show all the steps how I get there, but it's going to be something. And then I did nothing with it. And so this past February, I decided that 2012 was one of the least productive years of my time as an artist. So I decided to stop that and start up the Sketch a Day blog again. And so that's pretty much it. I just want to have something every day that says, at least to me, that I'm working.
Is it difficult? You mentioned sort of showing people or sharing every step of the process. Is it hard sometimes, on a day when maybe you can only spend those 10 minutes, that minimum 10 minutes, to still be able to say, yes, I'm going to put this out here. Maybe it's not to the state of doneness you want, or you know what I mean?
Right.
And put that up there with the stuff that you're really happy with, that, either you've gotten to spend a lot of time on, or you're just really pleased with. Is that difficult as an artist to be able to put all of those things up together, to force yourself to do that?
It's not difficult for me. I think, doing it for the first year really got me over that. Because in the past couple months, honestly, most everything that I've put up has just been stuff I've been doing on Post-it notes.
That's fun. I like that.
When I'm at my job, just free time here and there. But I've also discovered that when I put stuff up like that, or just stuff that I'm doodling real quick, I've been waiting out in the lobby while the other bands were on, and I've just been doodling, and they're not great, but I'm going to put them all on my blog. But it's I found that it's stuff like that where I'm putting almost no thought into anything that I'm doing that actually gets the most response. And the stuff that I spend hours or days or weeks on almost gets nothing in terms of, any kind of reaction to it. And it's like I'm putting my heart and my soul into this.
Isn't that always the way?
But that little dumb Post-it sketch that I did, while I was waiting for a file to load, everybody loves that. So it's weird.
Yeah.
When I see those reactions, but I'm, no, I'm not afraid of showing that stuff, in comparison to the stuff that I'm slaving over.
Now, this year also, you've been getting out with your art. I know that you were at Horror Hound, which is kind of a different setting. For some artists do it regularly, but for someone who comes from the comic world originally, and I know that was a different setting for you. What was your decision to do that, and how did you feel about the experience of taking your art out to someplace, kind of a different environment or a different realm for you?
Yeah, I used to do a couple of comic conventions back when I was actively trying to make them, and I had a very similar experience at Horror Hound as I did there, where it's hard to get an audience. It's hard to get people, especially in an environment like Horror Hound, where there are thousands of people just walking past your table like every hour to get to notice you. But the reason I decided to start doing that was because, I was not producing any work, and I started, like I said, comics are not my strong suit anymore. But this is something that I can make prints. I can make, large pieces of illustrative art or posters, and it's something that I'm starting to get into. And I thought that this might be a good place. It's got, subject matters that I enjoy. I'm a horror fan. And, I've got a friend who has been doing this for a few years, going to different horror conventions. And, like I said, it's hard to find an audience, but he's working at it. And so I thought, well, maybe this is something I could do as well. And yeah, it's a similar experience to a comic convention, but it's a very different experience as well. Because, my art is very comic-like and very cartoony, and it seems like an audience is not very receptive to that, especially at a place like Horror Hound. And it was a very fun show, and I'm doing another one, in the near future. But it was very, they were very specialized in what they were looking for, and what they were looking for was not exactly what I was producing. But it didn't deter me. Like, it just makes me want to try harder at it.
That's gotta be almost a good feeling when you can get to that point as an artist where setbacks like that or a difference in audience doesn't make you say, oh, I'm giving up, and just makes you say, okay, I did this, I learned from it, now I'm gonna go do it again and tweak my ideas, or just try harder or keep at it.
Right. For me, it's definitely, I don't want to cater what I'm doing to like a specific audience. I still want to do what I want to do. So, for me, it's just sort of stubborn perseverance.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, but at the same time, every single day, I want to give up. It is there, and it is in my nature. And it's a fight to not do that. And again, that's why I do the Sketch-A-Day thing, because it is a battle that I know that I can win every day. Mm-hmm. And, not giving up is part of that. Because, yeah, like, I walked away from Horror Hound thinking this was not a great experience for me. I totally shouldn't do this again. But, at the same time, just get over it and do it again. Who cares whether you didn't sell anything this time? Maybe next time you will.
Yeah.
Have something new next time, and just keep building, what you're doing. And also, the more you do it, the more you get better at it too. So.
Absolutely. Now you do commission work, which people, if they're interested in looking at your work or talking to you about commission sketches and drawings, they can go to your website for that?
Yes. It's Shonborn.net, SHONBORN. And just send me an email from there, or you can find me on Facebook or Twitter and send me a message from there. And I charge $10 to do an 8x10 commission, black and white. Generally, again, I come from a comic book background, So that is what I am best suited for. But, I like doing horror related stuff or just pop culture. I am an absolute geek, so whatever.
Now, one cool project that you got involved with was that you sort of helmed up Bloodline Videos partnering with getting the new Shock Theater series out on DVD, and you sort of took on the art, I would say, like almost the art direction of that project,
right,
in addition to helping do some of the actual artwork. Talk a little bit about what that experience was like for you.
At times frustrating. No, my good friend Matt was sort of charged with putting this out, and he was looking for a direction, and he just wanted a bunch of artists to do covers. And I told him that I think one of the best ways to do it would be to have some sort of unifying theme across all the DVD covers. And so it sort of fell onto me to come up with that theme. So I designed like a template and made sure that it wouldn't completely obscure every artist's piece, because I think 20 some artists were involved altogether, myself included. And it was just meant to give all the DVDs like a nice look, so that if a fan would buy all of them, it looks good on their shelf, and they can always see which one is which. And it was a struggle at times, but a lot of it was just coming from. I don't want to badmouth all artists, but all artists are not exactly reliable.
It's the organizational part of the art that,
right,
that gets in the way.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Artists like to make art. They don't like to, organize or be business people or, anything like that.
And just recently, another sort of DVD cover that I have to mention because the actual product is making its debut this weekend is that you have also done some work for Baron von Porkchop,
right?
And you did the cover for the Arcade Fever special, which is going to be airing Friday night on DATV.
Yes.
Is it fun for you as a horror fan to get to do projects like this that sort of get in with the local film community?
Absolutely. I used to work at a TV station, and the thing about people who work at a TV station is none of them want to be in TV. They all want to make movies. And so I sort of found myself in this world of just filmmakers all around me. And even after I left, I just still feel like I kept meeting people who wanted to make movies. And it's, it's like all art, it's creative and it's fun to be a part of, and sort of latch on to, any aspect of it is, I think a good thing. You just want to, because all you want to do is you just want to get your work out there, in any way possible. And so being asked to make a DVD cover, especially for, a genre that, I love, like horror, it's fun, and then, generally I'm allowed, to do whatever I want, within realms. It's just a good time.
Now, in addition to all of the visual art, you're also a podcaster, and you've sort of built this network of podcasts about all these kind of like cool geeky things that we're talking about, movies and pop culture and things like that. Give us a little rundown. Well, first of all, how did you decide to get into podcasting? Did you listen to a lot of podcasts leading up to that, or?
I did. Actually, podcasting was just one of those things where, I don't want to listen to that,
Yeah.
Geeks talking on the internet about stuff they love. But then one of my friends convinced me to start listening to this comic book podcast, and I loved it, and they all had a nice sense of humor, and I think that's what really, grabbed me to it. And so every Saturday for the last 6 or 7 years, I have been doing a drawing night with one of my friends, and we would just start listening to podcasts to fill the time while we were just drawing and working on whatever projects we were doing. And then just one day I was like, hey, would you want to do a podcast with me? And he was like, yeah, I would do one. And, I started looking into it, and buying the equipment wasn't too expensive, and you could just do it out of your home and a computer. And so it just started that way. And then next thing I know, I have 3 of my own podcasts and a 4th one that I really don't have anything to do with.
That's going to be, I think it's funny from the original podcast, Gutter Trash, all of these sort of other ones popped up with other friends. Did you find that as you were starting to do these, you were like, oh, this is fun, I should pull this person in? Or how did these subsequent podcasts sort of pop up out of the original?
That is pretty much exactly what it was. I'm not too social a person, and all of my friends have lives. So this was sort of a way that, I get to actually hang out with my friend for a couple of hours, as long as we can record each other's conversations.
Hey, why not?
Right. But I also wanted to make each one a little bit different than the other one. Just so that it wasn't just, 3, conversations that I'm having with 3 different people, but the same conversation. But sometimes it often is. But yeah, it was just an excuse for me to try to hang out with my friends more often. And, we just hang out for a couple of hours and have fun and just talk about dumb things.
And have something to show for it afterwards.
Exactly, yeah. It's not as creatively rewarding as, drawing something, but it's still out there, and it's us, unfiltered pretty much,
Mark Maron was talking about sort of the idea that podcasts, in a way, especially long form, like he does and like you're doing, are sort of preserving the art of the conversation, and in a way that, you're saying, you have a time every week where you're going to sit down and you're going to talk to your friends, and
right.
Not everybody can say that. Do you feel like it's sort of, by having that structure that the podcast creates, that it's sort of given you a chance to really like reconnect with some friends?
I think so. I'm definitely closer with the people that I host these podcasts with than, some of my other friends, honestly, which is a little sad. But, we've definitely got to know each other a lot better, and there's definitely more of a connection, I think. And sometimes, though, we'll just be having conversations outside of the podcast, and we should wait for the show.
That's a funny thing that gets created out of that. Like, right. Maybe we. As somebody who kind of lives in front of a microphone, I understand that completely. Like, where was the mic? If people want to find your podcast, are those on your website as well? Can they link to them from there? Or?
Yeah, they can get it from the blog, but it's also guttertrash.net is the main one, and then there's 4 others that they can link to from there.
Fabulous. Well, check it out, guys. Eric's website, we've got his blog linked on our Facebook page. We're facebook.com/Kaleidoscope Radio. He is SeanBourne.net. Go there, check out his work, get a sketch. They're awesome. I have several. And keep your eye to this guy's work. He's always doing really cool things on his blog, and the podcasts are super fun. Eric, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All the info on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Kaleidoscope Radio. We've got time for just a tad more music. Alternative radio's coming on at 11. This is Kaleidoscope on WISO.